I think it'll be a really, really fun atmosphere, and we know we will see the Stillwater Pioneers there in a couple of weeks as they go back-to-back state champions. With that, we bring in the head coach, Ethan Kyle. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on a state championship.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Coach, how boring was it? You only win by 14 in the finals. It doesn't come down to a pin. I don't know if people want their money back or not, but how boring is that to win by 14?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you guys have done your research. That semifinal was that one was way too close for comfort. But I mean, after last year with everything that the way that came together at the end, winning by a point. Obviously, anything less than 3 pins to win by one is going to be pretty anticlimactic. But I was teasing with our administration was there watching Saturday night, and I'm like, I coached for a lot of years in college, and when I got here, I didn't have hardly any gray hairs, and now like I got a gray beard, and I've only been here for 5 years. So I guess it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm obviously aging, but it's stressful. That dual state is stressful.
Well, I know this is going to be a dumb question, but talk about your time in Stillwater. Been there for a few years, obviously back-to-back dual state championship, won a state championship last year. So it's all doing pretty good, but how's Stillwater America been to you?
It's great. I mean, Stillwater America is a amazing place. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, the last couple of years have been buzzing with Oklahoma State wrestling and the change there. But it's I came here in 2002 and was here for 7 years before I went out to Wyoming. And when the opportunity arose, a little over, I guess it's close to six-ish years ago now. It made sense, and at the root of it was the magic that is Stillwater. I loved it. Obviously, I chose it to come to school, and there's such great social fabric, and it's an awesome place to live. So we couldn't be happier.
Wyoming and Oklahoma very similar to each other?
Um, yes and no, like the lifestyle of town, right? It's they're both, everything pretty much rises and falls with the university in Laramie and Stillwater. So the feel is the same. Now, obviously, the climate is a little different. The geography is quite different, but real similar people. They're both cowboys. They both have the
Right.
Pistol Pete. Strangely enough, like I took a lot of flack, especially my wife is a UW alum. So I'm like, you guys stole the real Pistol Pete. She's like, no, you didn't. I mean, Wyoming's been around forever. I'm like, no, like literally, Pistol Pete is from Payne County, America. Like Frank Eaton's the real guy. Like the
Perkins.
picture's drawn after the dude that lived down the road from OSU. So no, it's been similar, and yeah, it was a smooth transition. So I knew what I was getting into. And my wife has she's enjoyed it a lot. It's a nice feel for her too.
I got one more question. So when it snows here, do people in Wyoming laugh at people in Oklahoma because they don't know how to drive? And it's like, I can imagine in Wyoming, there's a whole lot more, but do you kind of like, come on, folks, this is nothing.
It's wild. So two things on the climate that always help people understand the difference. Like in Laramie, kids go outside for recess unless it's below 10 degrees. And I was there for 11 seasons, and I think there was like 3 snow days. So I mean, it's just a matter of prepared versus unprepared. And like our oldest was only 2 when we left there, but when we took him to daycare that last season, um, you take all their winter clothes. So he has the whole jumpsuit. He's got snow boots and gloves. They go outside for recess. You just operate under the conditions. People know how to drive. They have the vehicles that are suited for it. So life just carries on. And then the second thing is people are like, how hard is the winter there? And I'm like, well, somebody said this to me as soon as I got there, and I didn't understand it because, I moved there in June or something, and they said Wyoming has 2 seasons, winter and the 4th of July. And so, yeah, I mean, we missed the trip in May because we got snowed in, and it wasn't unusual for it to be snowing in September as well. So it was tough, but it was good. I really appreciated my time there.
I remember being in San Diego and my watch went off for a heat advisory. It was 88 degrees that day. So it plays both
Yeah,
ways.
exactly. It's all relative.
Now, Coach, are you a Missouri boy by?
That's right.
Yeah, you
Yep.
went to school in Missouri. Talk about wrestling in Missouri versus then going to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and then out to Wyoming. I know Missouri wrestling, they've obviously had a lot of good wrestlers, but I'm saying back in the day, I'm not trying to date you, but
No.
you're still younger than me. Wrestling's grown everywhere. But what was that change like from going from like a Missouri high school type feel into the heart of wrestling? I mean, you were there really during the peak of OSU wrestling when you were on their teams. Talk about that big change.
Yeah, that's right, Sean. It was. I mean, Missouri has, we've always been, a tough wrestling state. But like Tiger style wasn't a thing. Brian Smith,
Yeah.
literally, like, I don't know what year he got there. He hadn't been there for more than 2 or 3 years when he started recruiting me. I went on a recruiting visit with Ben Askren. Okay. So the wrestling people, that'll help kind of date, me and where everything was going. So, Ben Askren kind of put Missouri wrestling on the map from a college standpoint. But born and raised in the St. Louis area. I went to school at Francis Howell in St. Charles, Missouri, um, which is a traditional powerhouse. Sammy Henson, world champion, Olympic silver medalist, was an alumni from Francis Howell. So that was part of what drove me and into wrestling and to understand that there are levels to it and to pursue it at that high level. But standard upbringing. I was the youngest of three. My older brother started wrestling when he was probably in fourth or fifth grade, and my dad introduced us to it. He wrestled a little bit in high school, but yeah, I mean, I was exposed to. We got the itch. I was 8 or 9 years old when John won his second Olympic gold medal. We had the red, white, and blue channel. We had to re-record it on VHS, so we had to wake up in the middle of the night to press record. And we had the bug. Gable was doing his thing at Iowa, and as long as I could remember, my art projects were Iowa Hawkeye logos and OSU Cowboy, the old school brand, and the Olympic rings. And I was just ate up with it from a young age. So. People like Gary Mayab, and Brian Elam, Rocky and Zach Elam's dad, was real pivotal in helping me get around to a lot of events in summer times. And Gary Mayab and the Dave and Ron Mericatani in the St. Louis area, all these names of people that made Missouri wrestling, kind of brought up a number of us younger guys and got us around the country. And then, when I had the opportunity and Coach Smith came calling, it was a no-brainer. So it was just, yeah, it was what I dreamed of, and it was a great opportunity, and really enjoyed it.
Coach, you're describing my childhood. I remember that poster that came out in the mat magazine because we didn't have internet, so you had to order everything out of a magazine. And John Smith's holding the mat up on his shoulder, and
You got it. Yep.
just imagine what the world would have been like if we'd had the internet back then. I remember people were bringing me recorded VHS tapes from ESPN to watch the national finals. I mean, I would wear those tapes out because that's all I had till next year. It was
2 hours a year. That's it. 2 hours
yeah.
a year, and you just wear them out. I knew every move from the 90. I think they started that around 96 or so is when we started getting them. That ESPN would cover it. So yeah,
I remember watching Eric Guerrero and Lincoln McElravy, all those guys on the VHS tapes, and Eric very well.
I do, yeah, yep. And then it was just a kind of a pinch myself moment. Coach came up and Coach Smith came up and did a visit at the house, and I mean, fanboy, or call me whatever you want, but when he gets out of a rental car in front of our house and comes in and eats my mom's meatloaf, it's like, it tells me he wants us to be Cowboys. And yeah, it was just a done deal. And then
John Smith
we
knows
came
my
in
name.
and as fate would have it, things went well at Oklahoma State then. So I came right in, and I don't know if it's lucky for me or not. It is, but at the time it was not lucky because I took a lot of beatings from world team member, three-time NCAA champion and Olympian Eric Guerrero. I guess I knew how to drill as a young kid, and I had, like I said, I had good workout partners. my workout partner from high school was a starter at Mizzou for a couple of years. So, we knew how to drill. And so Eric like latched onto me. And so it was a blessing and a curse to be his training partner right off the bat. So I got a lot of good training to say the least.
Now you got to travel with him some, didn't you?
I did. He took me to the Olympic Games in
Yeah, that's
2004.
what
So
I thought that
I
was
got to
right.
go. The Cowboys, we had three Olympians that year. Eric and Jamil Kelly and Daniel Cormier were all Olympians. So I got to Esposito and myself. We got to go as training partners, and Mo Lawal went with DC. And I mean, just an amazing experience. I'm a college sophomore, and I get to spend 3 weeks in Athens, Greece, watching the Olympic Games with all of my heroes,
Yeah.
Satiev and Stephen Abbas and Joe Williams and Kerry McCoy. It was unbelievable. It was just an unbelievable experience. So it
So
was wild.
So you got to spend a little time around Mo Lawal. I wrestled with him for a couple of years at UCO.
That's right.
He is
King
not the
Mo.
way he seems, is he? He's a goofball.
He is a he almost got us like I don't know if kidnapped. I'm probably being a little dramatic, but we got a little bit lost trying to walk around one evening, and I'm trying to be the sensible one and find directions and like, this guy that doesn't speak English in some Greek little quick shop, and I'm talking to this guy, and Mo walks up and he hits me somewhere that he should not have hit me while I'm trying to converse with a stranger. And
In a
uh,
different
and the guy
language.
got all mad at us. It was like, out, 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 American. And so, yeah, I have a lot of stories about Mo, and that's about as clean as one that I'm going to commit to. But super good dude. I spent a lot of time with him. I love Mo. He's a lot of fun.
Stillwater Pioneers head coach Ethan Kyle with us. Coach, back-to-back dual state championships. You guys have won 4 of the last 5. What makes 2026 different from the others?
I think just the unknowns this year. Um, I try and do a little bit of money ball, if you will, with the predictions. Best case, worst case, most likely. And then how can we manage that as coaches? And I mean, obviously we have 5 6A schools in the national top 50 rankings. And the way matchups go, I mean, as you saw, I don't remember exactly the scores off the top of my head, but BA barely beat Mustang, and then we barely beat BA, and then Bixby beats Edmond North, which obviously there were lineup issues and injuries and whatnot, but being prepared for 4 opponents. I mean, honestly, it was a coin flip for our semifinal matchup, and it was a coin flip, in my opinion, for the final matchup. So that was a lot of variables, and those people that know me well, I don't have a lot of bandwidth upstairs to work with. So I had good notes, and I have great help, obviously, with
Yeah.
our assistant coaches, but it was tough just to be prepared to feel like we know the moves and ahead of time. But so I didn't. There was so many scenarios where even where we weighed guys in for availability was a chore, and it was like, well, at the end of the day, you got to play the percentages, and it worked out. But it was a lot of unknowns. I don't remember anything like that in my experience yet.
More stressful this season than last. Last year was kind of just you and Edmond North. This year, with everything
Yeah.
else.
Yes, and probably for different reasons. Just
Mhm.
because, like I said, like there's been years that it was a few years. So last year we won. The year before that, Edmond North had the all-time team,
Yeah.
and the year before that, I believe it was the throwdown where they beat us at Hall of Fame duels in a dual meet. We tried to do some jiggering with our lineup. So there's always, you got to pick your sacrifice. You're never going to not have one unless you have the 2024 Edmond North team that wins by 100.
Yeah.
That's such an outlier, but knowing that last year was different stress. The stress that I appreciate a little bit more, where it's basically like if we wrestle our best, we'll win. So my job as a coach is just to prepare the wrestlers to wrestle, as opposed to the strategic aspect of it. It's just so much more stressful because in a lot of ways we take the wrestling out of their hands in some instances, and you're like, is that much power a good thing? Because, I would rather not have the hands on that big of the controls, if that makes any sense to you guys.
Yeah, well, Dan Gable said this, but when he wrestled, he said it was simple. It was me. It was the other guy. I knew what I was capable of, win or lose,
Right.
whatever. But you go out
Yeah.
there and you've got these 14 kids that, one kid didn't eat what he was supposed to eat. Now he's got an upset stomach. The other kid's girlfriend just texted him, and they're
Right.
broke up because he didn't call her back. And now you got these things that you can't control, and you got these guys out on the match you can't control. And it's like, oh, that match wasn't supposed to go that way. And
Yeah, for sure.
And Coach, looking at your schedule, and you tested your guys throughout the entire year for this postseason run.
Yeah, that's been a theme of my tenure. Obviously, we came in during the COVID year, so we were pretty restricted on what we would do. I inherited a schedule. I tried to make the most of that. It's gotten me in trouble a little bit with some of our um, neighbors around town in this area, but we, it's no secret that the makeup of our team the last handful of years that people end up on our team and they're very high level. So we have the support from the community and our boosters to make some trips happen. And then those Hall of Fame duels just sprung out of nowhere and went right to the top of being the most competitive duel event we could put together. So it has been a theme, and thankfully we have enough success that we haven't been broken by it. We've been close because you go to the Ironman tournament and you come home with 3 medals out of we've taken 10 or 11 guys at one time, and it's hard to spin sometimes to turn that into a positive, but we do. I mean, the kids know how competitive it is. So putting them in things like the Ironman and the Hall of Fame duels when it was a thing. The Kansas City Stampede was a throwdown this year. We went back in the absence of the Hall of Fame duels, and then we got a chance to take some guys out to the Doc Buchanan tournament in California. Really a premier event, obviously. The people that wrestle there and win, you see on ESPN, like we were talking about earlier, Sean. So those kids are going to wrestle at the next level in the finals or in the medal rounds of those events. And then obviously, Oklahoma 6A wrestling. Oklahoma wrestling is strong right now, without a doubt. There's a lot of really solid programs that are coached well, and these kids and the families are they're putting the time in and the effort to get themselves to the highest level. So, there's not much drop off now. Obviously, this year with the snowmageddon that hit, kind of watered UConn down a little bit. But the UConn tournament and the Gary tournament have always been like
tough.
I mean, we've had multiple time state champions get beat there. So, it's a blessing for us to be able to expose our kids to that. And as much as anything, like get them ready for the postseason in Oklahoma. But we got a lot of kids that want to wrestle on the next level, and that's the biggest thing. Having spent some time there, getting the kids to make the jump. Obviously your top 3 kids that are ranked in the country as seniors, they've hit all these events, but the kids that we recruited at Wyoming, the Montori Bridges, who are from Altus, right, or two or 3 time state champion from Altus, to make the jump into Division I, and just realize that every week is going to be, it's just hard. So letting the kids become big fishes in big ponds is kind of what we're trying to do by stacking such a tough schedule.
So, Coach, obviously 11 years, I think, at Wyoming, you were there. Obviously, not just at the level of college coaching, but coming back to high school coaching. One of the questions I was going to ask you is was that transition hard? But to be honest with you, a 6A school in Oklahoma, Stillwater, top of the country, you're traveling everywhere, you're getting all these schedules, you're managing a bunch of kids. I mean, you're basically running a college team there in a lot of ways, maybe at a less, but you've got a lot of high-level kids. That experience you had in Wyoming had to play a major role in how successful you've been able to just manage all the things you just talked about.
Yes. I mean, I don't know that I've done it very well. I mean, we've had a ton of success, but we have a lot of people moving in that direction. But I think without a doubt, I've seen some of our guys say things like that. Like it feels like, he's running us in that college mindset. And that's it. I mean, there's small differences, but without a doubt, it helps to not get overwhelmed, and some of those situations that are kind of overwhelming. So the experience goes a long way, and um, yes, and there's a lot of people that in leadership, they want to prepare kids for more than just winning now or where we're at, but really prepare them. So if there's anything that it does make me a little unique is that experience. And Mark Branch, what he's done for my career in wrestling, I'm forever grateful. He'll always be one of my closest friends, and I'll always have the utmost respect for what he did, giving me the chance to come out and get to work with him. And then, that whole list of OSU guys that I spoke about earlier with Coach John, and obviously Eric and Pat Smith was a huge impact in my life. So, I didn't have the wrestling career that I would have hoped for necessarily, but the people I've been around, it's just unbelievable. I mean, I'm not bragging on myself. I'm bragging on the people that I've had the pleasure of being right next to. So it's just I'm a guy I called it. There's always a bubble guy at the NCAA tournament that he places, and you're like, how the heck did he get there? Like, and you look at his bracket, he kind of floated through the bracket in a little bubble. Like things were happening around him, and I think a lot of ways that's kind of my coaching career. I've been blessed. I came back here. I didn't know who Carter Young and Cale Hughes were. I take that back. I knew Carter Young because he teched a kid that I had just signed at Wyoming, and I'm like, golly, Sweal got teched by a sophomore, and then I look at Carter Young, I'm like, oh, he's actually pretty dang good. And he's been training with Dayton and this whole 9 yards. So, yeah, I just, it's I've just been blessed to be in the right place at the right time in a lot of ways, for sure.
Stillwater Pioneers, fresh off a dual state championship just the other day, getting ready for the big regional up at Broken Arrow. Four of the four teams in that regional qualifying for the dual state tournament. There's a lot of guys on your roster, Coach, that we definitely want to talk about. But the one that I'm intrigued here is Jaden Adams at 157. Football, Stillwater Pioneers have had deep runs, and so he's kind of late to the room, but he just seems to catch on pretty quick once he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, Jay he's a guy that he's one of those 100 match kids throughout his junior high experience and kids club. He's D Lockett's little brother. Jasper Lockett is his dad. So, I mean, he's a wrestler. He's been a wrestler his whole life. He's a freak athlete, obviously, was behind a good tailback last year as a freshman, got reps, and then as the starting tailback at a 6A 2 powerhouse school. So, and actually getting to the Doc Buchanan has kind of been on our bucket list, but I never wanted to leave the Gary tournament. The base has run an outstanding tournament down there, and they're fantastic support for the Pokes RTC. So I hate that it seems like we're kind of turning our back on an Oklahoma staple in the Gary tournament. But when you have a guy like Jay Adams that, I like the kids to play multiple sports and learn what it means to compete and have a little bit of balance, if you will. So for him to miss out on the Ironman each year and not be ready for Hall of Fame duels, we threw him out there against the #1 kid in the country last year, and he got smushed because he'd been in practice for like 6 days at the Hall of Fame duel. So it's tough. But Jay is he's about as mean a person as you'd ever want to know, but in a good way. Because walking around, he doesn't say hardly anything. He handles it well. But when it comes to it, I'm glad if we were ever had to get into a real throwdown that he would be on my team, because he's just one of those guys that's going to survive the apocalypse. He's just as tough as he can possibly be, and he has the pedigree. Like I said, he's wrestled on the East Coast. dozens of times, and he's won the Reno Kids World Championship tournament, the roller deal out there. So he's been around, and you know, his results show. You know,
Yeah.
he's only got a couple losses in high school, and he's I don't know all of his stats as a football player. I think they're pretty dang good, but it's
Real
no
good.
surprise he's that guy.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. So, Coach,
Yeah.
so Stillwater, I mean, your guys' kids club is one of the best in the country, definitely one of the best in the state, obviously. You've got, your junior high is always dominant. Obviously, your high school is dominant. You've got the farm out there now. OSU's there. So there's got to be interaction between, some of talk about just – obviously you've done a phenomenal job, but man, you've got a lot of coaches, you've got a lot of access. That community is wrestling. How important has that been to just the continued success for this team? Because it seems like every year you're producing higher level athletes than the year before, kids that are walking straight off the high school mat right into college now with D Lockett, and not just competitive, but dominant, like from high school to that. Is that a community thing? Is it just a flash in the pan? I mean, it seems like Stillwater's only getting better, and they've been good for so long.
Yes. I mean, so yeah, there's a lot there. Forgive me here,
Sorry.
I gotta organize my little pea brain. Yeah, I mean that a lot of that has to do with why we made the move as a family in the first place. You know, people like which the wrestling people, they're like, some of the guys that are like, oh, you're sly like a fox. Because people are like, what are you doing leaving college to go to high school? But my peers in the game were like, oh, you dirty rat. You're gonna have all these
Yeah.
super good kids and they're gonna have access and and you're not gonna have recruit 24 weekends a year.
Yeah.
So
You're going to get
all
to see
those
your
things
wife
are
and
in
kids.
place.
And
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, we knew that all those things were in place. That makes it, it makes it very unique. And I, I was always going to feel like I'm going to have access to those high level kids to really kind of wet my competitive whistle. Since 2002, I had been in Division One wrestling for something like 18 years or whatever it was. It
yeah.
was 2020. So it was 18 seasons I had gone, my life revolved around the Division One schedule. So making the jump for my family, the lifestyle that my wife and I wanted to create for our family was at the root of this move. But knowing that, like I said, I was always going to have access to really high level wrestling, and it's obviously been an incredible blessing. I didn't know Jasper Lockett at the time, but when you talk about Cowboy Kids Club, John Smith and some of the folks back in the early 2000s. I mean, Daniel Cormier and Jamil Kelly, I think were the first head coaches of the Cowboy Kids Club that
Wow.
as it exists today. It used to be YMCA, and then they, kind of moved it away, and John got involved because his son was 5 or 6, 7 or 8 at the time, JoJo. So, long story short, for the last probably 15 years, somebody can fact check that on how long Jasper Lockett's been involved, but the Cowboy Kids Club is where it is today with the vision and the hustle of Jasper Lockett, and then a number of people that have gone that have turned it in their life. Dustin Phipps, his son Revan is wrestling at Cushing this year now. If I started naming off names, I'd embarrass somebody for leaving them off, but without a doubt, the amount of work that Jasper and Nishana and all their crew have given to the kids club is just incredible. So knowing that that's been there, and that's the root of it. I didn't make D Lockett. I didn't make Cale Hughes. I didn't make Carter Young. I'm happy to play my part and help them along, add to them as much as I can, but provide that consistent environment and structure that they'll transition to and not have any whiplash when they get out into the real world and leave mom and dad and have to do their own laundry and feed themselves and stuff like that. So I just think that it's such everything is moving in that same direction around town. And it's, the results follow.
Ray Blake, Bixby head coach, also talking about those recruiting weekends that spent time away from the family. So I don't think I want to be a college coach in the recruiting part of it. That's two coaches that are pretty high level here in Oklahoma.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine, especially with the young family. Mentioned Jadam at 150. I want to get in here. I got one more that I definitely got to ask. Your 126 pounder.
Yeah. Nas is crazy. He's on that level. I mean, there are, there's like the sayings go, there are levels to it. And Nas has jumped. He was there, at Pomona in Colorado, U17 world bronze medal. But he's just that guy. And does that mean he's going to keep winning everything? No, but he's on that level and he's cemented himself. He's just so consistent. His training, his work ethic it's second to none. It's really impressive to watch, and his maturity now. He is still a high school junior. He'll say some things that I'm like, yeah, you're 16. Yeah, I believe it. You wrestle like you're 21 or 22, but he's just a good, genuine kid. But obviously there's kids that have put in probably close to the amount of time that don't have the skills and the ability that he does. But I mean, he's built some habits and held himself accountable with the help of his parents. Vic and Nicole are just top notch. The way they support him, but also give him distance. Let him win and fail on his own, and provide that right amount of support. It's really fun to watch, and it makes waking up early to watch some extra video or prepare practice plans when kids are drinking the Kool-Aid like Nas does. So it's a blessing. It's wild that these things keep coming through here, and it's fun to be a part of.
The hardest part of coaching him is saying his full name, because we were on the I was fortunate enough to get to call the 6A finals, and it was a blast. By the way, I had a great time. But one of your trainers was sitting there right beside me, and she was like, "Just call him Nos." I'm like, "Oh, I'll do that. I'll do that," because I was struggling to read that.
Yeah, it's tough, but yeah, they're fantastic, incredible family, and we're extremely grateful to have them.
I stole this from someone, but I always say it. I said, sometimes, we look for God's blessings and all kinds of things, but I always find the biggest blessings that God brings us through the people that he puts in our lives. And it just makes things so much better. You get around the right people, and it's just a blessing to have. And it sounds, you said a lot of all the people in college, all the people in Wyoming and everywhere. It's all these people. And it just, you always say it's a blessing. It's like, well, it's always the people.
Big time. No doubt. And that's where, I try and keep this soundbite in the front of my mind whenever I'm, talking about our results or giving an interview. I mean, there's great people all over the place. So we can't take for granted how special it is when everything lines up, and we get rewarded for all that hard work. And then to share it with those folks, it's awesome. It's amazing. I mean, I remember some wins and losses, but, whenever I get a Christmas card or I get a text, my phone blew up the other night after the duel. It's just like, I don't remember what my heavyweight trainer, I don't remember. I think he made it to the blood round or maybe the round of 16, but he's one of my favorite humans forever. And I don't remember what his win-loss record was. I don't remember why he lost his last match. It was probably because he didn't do what we told him. No, I'm kidding. But I don't, those things don't matter. It's definitely the relationships that will last. And yeah, we're coming through some top-notch people. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be on a couple national championship teams, and some of my best memories of that whole experience were playing spades at 3 a.m. in the morning on a van, driving through a blizzard, and probably out in Wyoming somewhere.
Yeah, maybe so. That's right.
But that's what I remember when I think of those people. I don't even know what, did they win on that trip? I don't even know if I did, but I know that we were in it together on those days, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Coach, it's no time to really celebrate a whole lot. I know practice probably got back, but man, you look at your regional. Of course, Bixby. You know about Bixby. You know all about Broken Arrow. They're there. Deer Creek and much improved team. They made a lot of noise this year. Owasso is a top 10 program. Of course, you guys Union qualifying for. I mean, this is regional stacks ready to go.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, there's no. I mean, I told the guys they get to sleep on their win Saturday night, but after that, there's no more sleeping on it because the prophet Conor McGregor says, you sleep on a win, you wake up with a loss. So without a doubt, like we're right back to work. We got after it today. It was nice to have the day off from school, so the boys got to sleep in a little bit, but we got after it. And now it's nice to switch. The theme heading into dual state is if we wrestle as a bunch of individuals, we probably won't get it done. But if we wrestle as team first, you'll wrestle at any weight that you're eligible for. And if you're mismatched, you're going to work your tail off so that maybe only giving up 5 is a win, but that could be the win that your team needs. So transition in this week is we can finally get back into our little silos. This guy over here needs to work on clearing his underhook. This guy needs to, just kind of back to the X's and O's and personal game plans that makes it a little bit easier for us to, allow guys to do their thing this time of year. So we're excited for that. But yeah, we've got to have our powder dry on Friday and Saturday because there's going to be a lot of tough matchups for sure.
Well, Coach, I know your Pioneers be ready to go no matter what that challenge might be. Congratulations on another dual state championship and best of week of practice this week, and hope to see you at the OG&E Well, we'll see you at the OG&E Coliseum. Hope to stop by and say hello to you when you have time.
He'll be there.
Yeah, he'll be. But it's gonna be awesome to open up a brand new facility at the OG&E Coliseum.
I'm excited. I haven't been down. I didn't go to the junior high state or the JOC yet, so it'll be a new one. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited. Hopefully, there's not too much commotion about being too crowded. It'll work itself out, but I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate you guys having me on.
And Coach, don't worry about those neighbors. If they're not upset about that, they're going to be upset about something else. So you just keep doing you because it's working.
They're upset because you keep winning.
It's working. It's working in Stillwater. So I would stick with what's working for you, Coach. Congratulations once again.
All right. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach. Stillwater Pioneer head coach. They just keep winning. Ethan Kyle. They just keep winning 4 titles in 5 years and trying to go do it again in a couple of weeks at the Big State Championship. So a lot of experience. And if you're the head coach at Stillwater High School, you won the interview because I would imagine that is a lot of folks apply for that job.
Yeah, just sitting there hearing him talk about what he's managing there with everything going on. Yeah. It's like, it's going to take a guy that's been at a high level for a long, like you said, he was 18 years or 20 years in college, in that whole entire Division I mindset, that schedule, managing all these different, it's like, it makes sense why he's at Stillwater having success, because that's what he's juggling. It's a big chore just to keep everything going.
And when athletic directors and superintendents are interviewing these type of jobs, not only do they have to be good at X and O's, but I think they have to present themselves to the community, to the media in interviews like this, and hit another home run.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not surprising why we see the same things out of these successful guys, but